Hello everyone, welcome to my week 2 wrap up where I'm going to talk about some of the things I saw this week that kind of want to get a handle on before it gets too far out. But I do want to say, and I think this is a repeat of last week, I really enjoy the discussions going on back and forth in the forum. I don't get super involved, when you're going, back and forth with each other, but I do read them. Yeah, it's a lot like if we were in a real live classroom. So good job. Some of you are not responding to me when I ask you a question. So be sure that if you see a number for unread posts that you go back in, because one of those unread posts could be me asking you a question or at least commenting on something you wrote. So I've got a list of things that I want to talk about. I'll try to keep this succinct, but no guarantees. Okay, so I recommend that you think about completing your portfolio activity last. So the idea behind that portfolio is reflection. Reflecting on what you have learned this week and up to this point about the topic in the writing prompt. So if you haven't done all your other two assignments and done some reading, I don't think you can really give a complete answer because you can't reflect on something that you don't know. So it's up to you when you turn it in, and I try to grade them as they come in. But my advice is to do that assignment last. Number one, it's due later, one day later, and that is because we want you to take all the assignments you did, all the readings, all the discussions you had back and forth, and incorporate those into your reflection. So think about doing that last. And talking about reflection, I'm not seeing a lot of that in the portfolios that I'm grading this week, and I talked about it. I know I talked about it in this week's preview, but again, the portfolio is for you to reflect and think about what you read, studied, talked about this week, how your practice will be improved, what are some things you want to try, what will you do better. It's not just you answering the prompt well, here's what I do in my classroom. So take a look at the rubric, and if you have questions about it, ask me, send me a sample of what you think you want to write, and I'll tell you, in my interpretation, does that meet, the intent of the rubric and the assignment. Okay, advanced tab. In the discussion forum, I am giving you lots of APA feedback, and I will not be doing that after week 3 because it's a lot of work. What I will do is, if I continue to see a number of APA formatting mistakes, I will go in and lower your discussion grade, because I don't fault you for coming into this class with not lacking knowledge on APA, because I don't know what kind of feedback you got before me, so I don't judge you. But if I'm giving you all this feedback in your written assignment, in your portfolio, in your discussion forum, I want you to take that and incorporate it into your writing. And like I said, I think last week, look at those corrections and go to apastyle.org and Purdue OWL and see why I told you, to put the comma inside the quotation or whatever it is. So look it up for yourself, just like you would have your students do. But you need to use that advanced tab so that you can italicize and indent your references. Your graduate level, so take that extra step to make your formatting as perfect as you can. And that's why that advanced tab is there, so that you can do that. Okay, I see a lot of always. I always, ask my students to get in cooperative groups, and then I always give them projects to do. And I haven't been highlighting it, but I've really been noticing in a lot of papers that there's this always. I don't think anybody always does anything. So you may frequently, or you may intend to do something, but try to take always out of your writing. It's less academic sounding, and it's probably or possibly not true. So just watch that. Like I said, it's been really noticeable how many of you are putting always in your writing. So try to avoid that. I would really encourage you to get Grammarly if you don't already. You can get the free version, and Grammarly will attack your papers in a good way and tell you if you've got a mistake. So if you need a hyphen, so if you're saying face to face and you don't put in hyphens, Grammarly will catch that. If you forget a comma, or if you add a comma that shouldn't be there, anything like that, Grammarly will put a little red line and you can fix it. So you can attach it as an extension in Chrome and Microsoft Word, and that way it'll catch those mistakes, because I think that a lot of mistakes I see are just language translation issues, and a lot of it though is punctuation that you don't know. So Grammarly, like I said, there's a free version, or you can pay for it, will I think really help you catch those mistakes in all your assignments. So I encourage you to download Grammarly. Okay, with your APA, as I edit, there's inconsistencies. So sometimes you put a space after, the P dot for page, and sometimes you squish them together and you say P dot 8, and you don't put a space. And sometimes you don't put both sets of quotation marks, and sometimes you capitalize and sometimes you don't. So if you're mistaken about formatting, be mistaken consistently, because if you're not consistent, it looks like you don't care. And I don't think that's the case, because your writing is very good and you're putting in effort on research. But when you write differently, or like I've said, inconsistently, it looks like you just are very haphazard. So just really take time to do what I'm doing. It's not my paper. Go back and read through that thing and look for those little mistakes, because mistakes can definitely detract from the meaning. If somebody's having to, stop and, get over some errors, that don't need to be there, or, shouldn't be there, you're going to lose your message. So take time to go back through your papers. You're hopefully reading for content, and then go back and read for the grammatical errors, punctuation, spacing. Okay. Okay, I've also seen a lot of slashes this term. So like benefits / challenges. Advantages / disadvantages. In APA, don't use the slash. The only place it would be acceptable is and or, because there's really no other way to and or is what you would write. So, benefits and challenges, advantages and disadvantages, boys and girls. So really do not use the slash. Just write whatever word you mean whatever word the slash represents. We also don't use etc., like etc period or etc. Just spell out and so forth. That's what it means. And again, all this is on apastyle.org. So I'm telling you this stuff, it's all there. So you can go check me out and make sure I'm right. And you can learn these things for yourself. Okay, left justify your paper. So it's called a ragged margin. So do not use block style in your written assignment. I know that when you're reading a study online, it's probably going to be in block style, but that's because it's been published, and the publisher will do that. So your paper should always have a ragged right margin, left justified, indent the first line of every paragraph. And then please watch the maximum page count. It's there for two reasons. One, your classmates have a lot to do, and if you write 8 or 9 pages, you're asking them to grade, it takes too much time to grade. Secondly, you need to prioritize what you want to tell us. So, if you have just unlimited pages, you're going to go off on tangents, you're going to give us way too much detail. So watch those page counts. Title page and references are not counted. So if it says 2 to 3, that's the max. The max you ought to have is 5, maybe 6 if you have a whole bunch of references, not 8. So please watch that. That's a rule. And, as we start getting into, halfway through the course, I'm going to recommend that when you're assessing these papers to lower the points for things like going over the page count, because it's, you have rules that you have to follow, and that's one of them. So let's see, with that, I think that's about it. Again, I'm really enjoying my time with you. So keep up the hard work, and, especially if you're 10 classes in, you're almost done, and that's got to be exciting. But with that, I'm going to close out and say thanks for listening, and I will hopefully see you at our Teams meeting tomorrow morning.